All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to another phenomenal edition of the BS of Entrepreneurship podcast, guys. We are so excited this week.
Excited.
For the for the love bugs, baby. Hey, this is the Valentine edition, baby. We coming to you. Hey, but before we even get started, I just want to let you know this is Frankie P.
I'm Maria P.
And Tracy P.
All right, and so we can get these introductions done correctly, let me introduce our guest. Woo! Our guest. Our founders, Johnnie and Tasha Graham. They've been married for 14 years. Woo! In 2008, God moved them to the mission to fill need for marriage support and guidance. Navigating coupled life comes with challenges. And they do not have to have all the answers to go through it alone. Faith is the pillar of marriage. Faith in God, faith in a lifelong commitment you made to each other while standing at that altar. Oh yeah, yes. Serenity in Zion heals marriages by helping couples rediscover their faith and rediscover God and spirituality at the heart of their connections. We'd like to welcome Johnnie and Tasha Graham. Welcome. Hey. Woo-wee. Well, guys, I'm telling you, I watch you guys all the time on Instagram. I love your videos, but and I mean, and everyone can see not that it's manufactured, but it's just real. Mm-hmm. It's just real, and we see where you are right now. But let's just take a step back and let's find out how we got here with you guys moving forward and what you're doing. Where did Johnnie and Tasha begin? Just to give us a little background about you. Go ahead, you first. You first.
Okay. I'm going to tell my side of the story since I'm me first. Okay, 2005, I moved from Louisiana, Hurricane Katrina. What's up, Louisiana? But yeah, I moved from Louisiana, not wanting to come to the DMV. Let me put that in there. But it wasn't my choice. It was all God. I was stuck with Katrina. It was very depressing. Didn't know what way I was going to go, how I was going to go. But God said, come to the DMV. I had one family member living up in this area, in the DMV. And we all kind of migrated to her house. So it was about maybe 10, 15 of us. And we migrated here. And believe it or not, where we were living, Jay was like around the corner. I didn't know it at the time. Around the corner. Yes, he was around the corner. And but I had to go through a few things. I remember it was snowing, and I didn't know anything about snow coming from Louisiana. I remember crying because I didn't put salt on my driveway. So I pushed my car up on the ice and it was sliding and all this. And I looked up at the sky and I was so serious. I was like, Lord, you got to send me a husband because I don't know what I'm doing. And literally not knowing he was around the corner. And so that began the phase of our life of me just trying to know that God is real. And I said to myself, I wasn't going to date. I was going to wait until my kids was grown. And that would be now, me dating. Mm-hmm. So I can't even imagine that happening. But I was working at a dialysis clinic. And this gentleman, a friend of ours, I ain't going to say his name, but he was like, I want to introduce you to somebody. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Don't want to do that. I got kids. I'm just trying to live. And one day he did introduce me to somebody, and my life changed, and the rest is kind of like here. Yeah. So, but I'm forever grateful. I know that me being obedient and adhering to what God said and allowing me to be in a place where I can just have somebody in my life that was meant for me and not just tolerate me, but actually is a covering and a husband and somebody I can submit to and honor. And so that being said, that's my husband.
That's right. That was a great intro.
I don't know how you gonna come over that one. Yeah, sound that one.
Well, let's see where we started from. Well, we're how we got here was actually my buddy that was on dialysis, that went to the dialysis clinic. He used to tell me about her. And I was like, actually I was going through a divorce then. Mm-hmm. I was married before, maybe married for together 17 years. Mm-hmm. Together 17 years. And he used to tell me about her, man, I want you to come up here, man, because she got that mouth and you quick, you think quick. And I was like, man, I don't want to open another door until this door closed. And then, he told me that she had 4 kids, and I was like, she don't need me bring my baggage to her. So I would never go up there. And he kept asking me. Then one day he told me he passed out when he got off the machine. His blood pressure had dropped. So I said, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna stop past there, just to check on him. Right. And so when I walked in there, the first thing she said, what is up with all you guys with these light color eyes? Because his eyes were light, his brother's hazel brown, and his driver eyes was hazel brown. And, we talked, it was snowing that day. We talked and everything. And come to find out, matter of fact, Frank, she moved into Rose Valley, into Tony's house. Tony that passed away when we were young. Yeah. She was at his house. Him too. Right around the corner.
Then he died.
And the crazy part, before he was there, I knew her cousin's son, because the cousin's son was dating my daughter's best friend. And they came to the house one time, and I was telling my man, I'm gonna need some help with these big jokers over here. Just joking around.
Right.
And not knowing that we was right around the corner from each other. And I told myself, I kept telling him, man, I don't want to get married no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go through that, because me, the way I thought marriage was forever until one of us leave here. But, you can't do that if the other person not on the same page. So, we just talked that night. We just said we were going to be friends. And he was like, man, it's not a problem. She got 4 kids. I said, no, that's good. I got 4, and I don't want to have no more babies. So we was like the Brady Bunch. Yeah. But we talk, and I think we talked a couple of times, and just thought we was gonna be friends. And I don't know. I told her, she asked me about, my ex and how long we was together, and she told me, you should give her another chance. That's a lot of time. That you was with somebody, and I don't want to be the cause that y'all can't get back together. So I told her, okay, well, all right, if that's what you're saying, do. I ain't never known another woman maybe she didn't know she wanted me to send you back. You know what I'm saying? So I gave it another try, but.
Well, at that time, when you told him that, what was your mindset at that time?
I had, in my past, I was married for 10 years prior to Jay, and my ex-husband cheated a lot. And I remember being that person that was cheated on. And so I did not want to interfere in someone else's marriage, even though they were separated, going through divorce, or I don't know if y'all were going through, I think y'all was separated at the time. But they wasn't together. I just wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, not being so selfish. I felt like if it was me in 20 years, 19 years, I know somebody else wouldn't think like me, but I was just like, I just don't want to be the reason. I didn't never want another woman to say she took my husband or, this is that. And I wanted him to be real clear, because you could be vulnerable sometimes. And so I was giving him the benefit of the doubt to make sure that's what he wanted to do. And then the selfish part in me was saying, if he called me this lady's name, I would go for it. So I was like, I never wanted that to happen. So due to the fact of I watched my grandmother and my grandfather for many years maintain marriage. I just knew what I wanted. My first husband was an experience, but after going through the 10 years with him, I kind of, in my next chapter of my life, I knew what I wanted. And I knew that I needed somebody that was going to love me and my children and know, you know, and when he came into my life and he put me and my children, not just me, but me and my children first, I knew I had something because, again, I just was like, oh, he's going to be a good friend. But then I started catching feelings. And I was like, so what we at? What we doing? And he was like, don't put no title on us. And I was like, hold up. And my cousin, I will never forget it. Shout out to Shantiola. My cousin was like, stick with Jay. Stick with Jay. And I was like, nah. I was like, I feel something and I don't like what I'm feeling. And if I can't get him, then I don't know if I want to pursue that because I don't want to be hurt. And my cousin was like, girl, you got the right one. And I was like, I'm thinking. So he takes me on a road trip. We went, it was my birthday, right? Was it?
That was.
Yeah, it was right before my birthday. He takes me to Philly, New York, and Atlanta City, and we just ride. And he asked me to fix him this tuna. And he liked the way I fix tuna. And so he says to me, when I get home, I'm going to marry you. And I was like, yeah.
Well, you was asleep telling the whole.
Okay, well, go for it. Tell it.
I want to hear this.
Well, first of all, like I said I didn't want to get married no more. But the Holy Spirit told me I had too much love to give. And I hold it to myself. So I took on, we went on that road trip. Well, before we went on that road trip, my buddy say, because I told you about the mouth, he used to marry mouse flick. So I had this thing what I used to call the Armageddon, which, oh, baby girl.
Put your headphones on, girl.
It's called the end of the world. If you're in that room, when you finish, it's the end. And my man said, he called me greedy. Did you put the Armageddon on? I said, man, you know I did. That's what I'm talking about, greedy. I said, but it was a problem. She reversed it.
I know that's right. He really did.
But you know, as men,
When you was like,
she put it back on me. And I say, but you know, I knew I wanted to be with her,
right.
but I just didn't want to put no title on it right then and there. So we took that road trip. And before then, the Lord had always been telling me, he said, look, he said, I'm going to send somebody to you. He said, I got somebody for you that you won't never have to worry about it. They cheat on you, they're going to have your back. Both of y'all going to be sold out for me, and you're never going to go through what you went through before. And he sent like a couple of messages through pastors that came to preach at our church and stuff like that. But so when we was coming back down the road, he told me many times, and he told me, I got somebody for you right around you, but you won't let them in. And I mean, we was, like I said, we had talked, we was cool and everything, and I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, well, who I won't let in? So I said, I don't know, I'm just gonna keep going on. I didn't pay no attention. So we took the road trip, and we was on our way back, and we was riding, and the Holy Spirit just came up in that car, and it's like everything stood still. And he told me, he say, didn't I tell you that's what I had for you? And I was like, yeah, God, but she got 4 kids. And he told me plain as day, you want somebody good for you, or you worry about some kids? Kids grow up and move away. And I felt like I was on Jeopardy. I said, somebody good for 400. So, I mean, the pressure was in the car. Then he said, okay, what you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna marry. Then I could just feel the pressure just leave.
This is why you were driving?
This is why we was driving.
Man, okay.
So then I woke her up. I said, baby, I'm gonna marry you. She said, I know you are. I said, no, I'm gonna marry you when I get back home.
Whoa.
He said, do it now. So she started laughing. So I called my bishop. I said, Bishop, I want you to marry us. He said, all right, when? I said, as soon as I get back home. He said, well, you got to go get the marriage license first. So we went and got the marriage license.
We did do counseling though.
We did. Well, he already been counseling us. Anyway,
Yeah, that's true.
He already knew that, I was going to marry this
I just
guy.
have to throw that in there because sometimes people think they can get married without counseling.
That's
Two
true.
weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We did it beforehand.
We did it beforehand. And well, that was our late apostle. He passed just before we got to where we at. But yeah, we got back, did all that, got married, and like I said, we just been inseparable since then. And I see a lot of people marriage is like a job, and when it's two of you. When somebody decide not to work at it, it's just like going to work. She come to work and she don't want to work. Eventually, she gonna get fired, and that's just the same way in a relationship. And we're seeing a lot of couples, like people will get married and say, "Well, I'm gonna try it. If it don't work." It's like they already got it out. It's like going in the casino saying, "You gonna gamble, but if I lose, so what the heck? Don't you want to go in there saying you gonna win?" So that was our thing. That was my thing about marriages. Trying to help couples maneuver through, or somebody that's not married yet and they thinking about getting married. Just give them ways to get over hurdles.
Now, question: because you came with 4 kids and you had 4 kids, how did that blended family come together? How did you navigate those waters?
Well, my father and my mother had got a divorce and got remarried. So it was natural to me because my father told me, he said, let me tell you something. He said, kids don't deserve nothing bad to happen to them. First of all, they didn't ask to be here. So you got to love them and you just got to treat them good, And if you show love, true love to a kid, any kid, eventually they're equal.
That's how it should be. Yeah, amen. I want to tell a little bit of this story because for me it was hard. Not that the kids part was hard, just Jay and I's style of discipline is different. And so my boys today, they all call him Dad.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Do you have all 4 sons?
I have 3 sons and 1 daughter. Okay. And all from previous marriage. My daughter's not from my previous marriage. But my boys, well, all of my children call him Dad, but at the time my daughter was 3, 4.
4 going to 5.
4 going to 5. Anthony was 16. Matthew was like 13, and Nathaniel was 12 when Jay came on the scene. So Jay and I sat the kids down, and I told them, I was like, I'm marrying him not for y'all, but for me. And you don't have to like him, but you have to respect him.
Absolutely.
And when I said that, I knew in my heart, I was saying and doing the right thing, but it was hard for me because our style of discipline was different. And then after leaving my children's dad, I never had a man in the house, and we're talking like 8 years now. So here comes somebody that is responsible, committed to the task, and my children had to listen. And so he didn't discipline the way I disciplined. And I used to be somewhere in the room crying well, when he disciplined them. But when he wasn't around, I would be like, your dad go, But I didn't want him to know. But then I didn't want, and it was a very kind of conflicting situation because I had to be mom and I had to let go of trying to be both parents because he was there. And Jay used to tell me all the time, he was like, now, Tasha, I'm going to tell these boys what to do. And if you go back on what you say, it's going to be a problem. And I was like, so as the mom, I'm like, I don't want to lose my kids and I don't want to lose my husband, but I got to make everybody happy. And I not realizing, putting way more pressure on myself than I needed to. But if he was at work and the boys didn't clean up or something, I'm like, your dad, come on. You know what he going to say? You better get this, And then
he'd be like, Tasha, did you tell him? I'd be like, yeah, I told him. And then I'd be trying to kind of warn them before he would come in the house, because Jay has this routine. He come through the door, he gonna check all the doors, and then he gonna look out this door and he got a whole routine when he walk in the house. And I was like, y'all been with this man for the longest. Y'all don't know this routine. I was like, he gonna check the bathrooms. He gonna.
Did they eventually get the routine down pat?
Yeah, they eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, they eventually. But I remember the first time he disciplined them. I was upstairs crying, literally crying, because
I wouldn't beat them.
it wasn't.
No, it was just because this is
Right. No, he was,
and they
right. I had to
Tori was
really
good, but she
adapt.
wasn't
Yeah, I
used to
wasn't.
it.
But I wasn't, because now I'm a little gangster mom. I ain't gonna act like I ain't. I'm real gangster with it. My children today, I can knock one of them in the head. They ain't gonna touch me.
Mhm.
But Jay for when their father left. Anthony was 8. No, Anthony was about 8. And so you got 8 to 16, and then here come a man, and not playing. My children didn't know how to deal with that, because my oldest son said, "You let this joker tell you and me he ain't the man of our house," and I'm still telling my son, yes, he is, knowing that I didn't really want Jay to discipline him, but I had to let him.
Absolutely.
And so being upstairs crying because of the way he may be doing something, not because it was bad, but just because I had to allow it to happen. And I thought I was ready for it, but not knowing it was hurting me. So.
And look at you today.
Yes. And listen, they'll call him before they call me.
So how did you guys start this road? Start going down this road of couples counseling? Or how did that come about?
Well, it's couple coaching.
It's coaching?
Yeah, I don't want to say counseling because we're not counselors, we're coaches. But some friends of ours. So Jay and I have so many years of what not to do, I'll say, in a marriage. So he came with like 19 years. I came with 10, almost 30 years of being in relationships. And when we got together, we kind of really just, the day that I think we decided to date, it really was like we were married before we even married. And we noticed people would tell us, like, you all got this thing with you. And we, at first not knowing it, we would go to different events and people would pick us out, like, I like what you're doing. And we didn't even know what we were doing.
Just had that energy.
We went to the event in, where was that? Atlanta. We went to an event in Atlanta, a couples event. And this couple were in need. We both didn't know what the need was, but we could just feel it. And so I was like, oh my God, I want to help them. And he was on the other side. We hadn't even talked, and he felt like he needed to help them. Well, we end up, I think we had like $150 at that time to give, and we end up giving them the $150. Backstory from it, later on at night, the people testified that their house burnt down and they had nothing, and we just blessed them with $150, not knowing what we did. And I believe in that time frame right there was when we realized that we had this connection to help other couples. And so from that, we just built on it. And then a friend of ours was going through a divorce, and they called us, and it was like, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? And the first thing Jay and I did was like, well, let us come over. And we went over to their house, and we did a lot of coaching and just helping. And breakthroughs happened, and different things happened. And then it went from that couple to another couple, and then it just kind of happened. And then we found ourselves inviting people over, and we would do games and helping couples kind of like connect. Because most of our coaching is about fun. How do you connect with your mate? Not necessarily so much. Now we do we don't counsel, we coach on how to get to that next level. But most of it is about just engaging each other. Because Jay and I can sit on the sofa and have a great time doing nothing.
Yeah. That when we go out, we're just in the crowd. And I always tell Maria, I was like, I don't care. When we go out, if nobody else is going to have fun, I'm gonna have fun. We gonna
You
have
two
fun.
have fun.
That's what
It
we do.
doesn't matter.
you.
Nobody else like sit around. I'm like, why are you coming out and you're not smiling and doing something? Just
Right.
have some fun.
Dance.
Yeah.
As soon as the song come on, I already know.
It's time.
Yeah, I gotta hit this thing.
Example of coaching, like, so this couple, they were distressed.
Okay.
They were about to divorce, or they were separated at the time.
Well, actually.
Well, no, don't use that one. Don't use them. Use another.
Oh.
Use So
Everybody don't make it. It's
Yeah.
up to the two individuals. You know, like I said, if once one quit, you know, it's really nothing you can do. But for the most part, we just get them, you know, just help them get over hurdles. You know, like I'll give you an instance. Actually, I got an older cousin that's a pastor, and his wife, they in ministry, and we had to get coached through some stuff. And it wasn't nothing bad. It was something simple as, first of all, the wife is the weaker of the two vessels, and I could know the answer to something, but certain things women they can't handle it. So my cousin says sometimes you just got to learn to be quiet. You know, or you could share, but maybe not right then, because you got to choose the right words. You know, because I mean, women are more emotional than men.
So the first thing you let men know is one thing you have to do is learn as far as men, because you're right. Because as men, we want to be forward, and so we do have to take that step back and just say, okay, you know what? Let me just marinate for a second.
Her word is digress.
Digress. Okay, I like that. Okay, I like that.
Digress and then help couples to learn, like, okay, say for instance, a couple they have a disagreement. Instead of going the whole mile, then y'all blow up. Why can't you stop at the quarter mile? You know?
Come on, man. Come on.
We have little words with, like, well, she might say, well, okay, you're going too far now. So we, you know, cut it off right then and there. And sometimes you gotta let things cool down and come back with cooler heads.
we used to use the word same team. So we love each other, and we did not want to argue, and we had to come up with something for us to understand that it can't be to a peak point that we're mad. And so we would same team, and that would calm you down.
Because we're both going the same
Because
direction.
we're going in the same direction. We're just not agreeing right now. Or either we used to use words like
we disagree to agree.
yeah, and we had the 5-word rule. You said, I said, no, I didn't do that, but yeah, you did. And then the 5th one, somebody got to stop. And so
Say those again.
So 5, it's just 5 things. When you get to the 5th one, you gotta stop. So Jay say, I say, no, you didn't say, but I said, and then you have to stop because it's gonna be an argument. And so we worked on that. And then another thing that Jay and I worked on was being the same person everywhere we go.
Meaning?
Well, we used to argue, and we would, like he said, the only thing we ever really truly argued about was ministry. And so we would argue in the car, and then we get out the car at church, and we would be like nothing happened, and it was a lie.
But what was the disagreement about
Church
with the church?
Okay, so when I first moved to the DMV, I came from a mega church, a big ministry, and I was being utilized. I knew a lot, the word. I just knew a lot of different things that I'll say I was seasoned or experienced. And then, and I grew up in church all my life. Not to say that Jay didn't, but God had to show me I had to wait for him.
I was going to ask that. I hate to cut you off.
No.
I was going to ask because I know you were saying how God spoke to you and like were you both in church at that time when you first met her?
Yes, we both were in church. But I had been in church all my life. Okay. And Jay, I don't want to tell your story, you tell that part, but I had to wait because Jay had, I don't know if I think he was just really committing
As I got older, you know, you in church with your parents, but then I got older, I'm doing it for myself.
So,
Yeah. And so I had to wait, and it was hard to wait because I never had to do that before. When I got married to my ex-husband when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
And so he was Catholic and I was Christian, but I was refusing to go to the Catholic church, so he converted to Christian. And but I just never been in that moment where I was married and I had to wait. But God knew that Jay was for me. He had to teach me how to wait in it, humble myself. Example, Jay, we were in the airport. I will never forget. This is one of my funniest ones. At the time, it was not funny. We were in the airport and we arguing about something that's going to happen on
church.
Yeah, at church. And
coming from Miami.
We just had a great trip. We just had a great trip, and we get back to the Maryland soil and at Ronald Reagan Airport, and I never forget it. We out there and we going to baggage claim, and I'm just barking behind him like a little chihuahua. I mean, I'm just going off, and I don't even know what I was talking about. I can't even remember what that argument was about, but I just remember, and he was walking fast. He was trying to leave me, and I mean, I was almost running, just wanting him to hear my perspective. And today, I thank God for those moments because I can laugh at them now. But today, it used to be like Jay will sit on the sofa, he'd get upset, he'll go to the movies or go to his bishop's house, or then it got to a point where he'll go upstairs and I'll be downstairs, or I'll be upstairs, he'll be downstairs. Then it got to the point this is just too much. So you mad? Oh, okay, you'll be all right. And we keep it moving. And so and so you grow into what you want, but it was commitment. Us talking, Jay, and I never forget it one time, and this is a real story. I thought me being being out of the relationship with my ex-husband, I thought that after these 8-9 years, I thought I was healed. And come to find out, I just swept it under the rug because I didn't have a man in my life. So I didn't deal with the problems. He gets in my life.
How did you know it was revealed?
Well, I'm about to tell you. Okay. So he gets in my life and he says a word and it triggers me. And I can't remember what the word was, but I remember my ex-husband used to fight me and he would beat me. And I had a skillet and I was going to hit him. And he had to literally, Tasha, I am not him. And then that was when he was like, we got to go to counseling because this is not healthy and this can hurt. And I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to love you. And that was another significant point in my life when I realized God sent him to me because now you're willing to help me open up all this life and deal with it and dig and try to figure out those things. And me living the life I live, not knowing in today at 48 years old, realizing I had a toxic life. I didn't know it.
So let me ask you this, and it's probably more towards you, Jay. We as men have egos. So how do we deal with the relationship? Because one of the most challenging things for most men to admit is we're wrong, and to come around to see it in another perspective. How do you deal with that?
Well, my thing, like she said, first of all, we together, and I don't never want to hurt her. And then I knew her backstory. So I just knew, I knew I had to put my ego to the side for a lot of things because what I found out in her previous relationship, she didn't have a voice. So that's why she was so strong, used to come so strong at me. And that's when I had to tell her, look, I'm not him. But I knew the reason why she was doing it because she couldn't say nothing back without him trying to put his hands on her. So I mean, if you love somebody, you don't want to hurt them. Then I, just like Jesus, I had to love her as Jesus loved the church.
Come on, man.
Through all, church got a lot of stuff going on in it. You know, nobody's perfect. So, you know, I know, you know, she went through some stuff, and then when God told me I had too much love to give and I couldn't hold it to myself. So the more I love her, the more I could peel each one of them layers off of her. You know, and the littlest things, like I gave you, for instance, when she said, if we had a disagreement, I'd go to the movies or go to my bishop house or something. I knew her ex would leave and just not come back for days. So I wouldn't never want to do nothing to hurt her or put her back in that mindset.
Wow. Yeah.
And then my bishop always told me, make sure you go somewhere that you can be accounted for. So the enemy can't play on her mind. You wouldn't, I don't know if you was there, I don't know. No, I got the ticket from the movie. Let's go. I could tell you word for word, but most times I just go down to my bishop house or I go to my father's house.
So now say that again as far as making sure, and this is for if you are married and you're having a disagreement, one of the key things you just said is making sure you're held accountable, that you can be accounted for. So just storming out, it's just not going to work. Oh, I'm out of here. Well, where you going? I'll see you later. Talk about how that, someone who has that mentality, how would that be detrimental to a relationship?
What?
Look, that's gonna be a whole nother firestorm when you get back. I mean, it's when you get the enemy time to play on somebody's mind and their emotions, that fire can be a little fire. Before you know it, you got a whole forest fire. So that was just something, actually, like I said, I was told from my bishop about that. And like I said, knowing her background, I never wanted to make her feel like she felt before. You know, so if I knew if he did this, I'm going to do that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, when you love somebody, you're not in it to hurt them. You're not going to get everything right, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, if you know something about him, it's just like, if I'm allergic to ketchup, she's not going to keep putting ketchup on my food if it's going to hurt.
Because if she is, she want to hurt him.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, he wants some fries, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So that's
no, it's mambo sauce. Go ahead, try this mambo sauce.
and then I try to help, I try to help men, like you say, when you get frustrated, first of all, the Bible tell you, he rather for you to go to the rooftop than be in the same room with a bickering woman. Not saying that y'all just, but, y'all a little more emotional than us. So,
I think it just gives people time to
the calm down.
Calm
exactly.
down. I know for me, it's time for me to regroup. Oh, I'm so sweet. It's time when we go, and we don't have a lot of, frustrations, but for me, it's time for me to regroup and rethink the conversation. Okay, and how can I approach it differently where he's going to understand? So, for example, this weekend we were doing something, and he kind of cut me off, and it irritates me when he does that. And I waited until what? Sunday to have the conversation with him, and by that time, I was able to get my point across where he understood where I was coming from, and he could see my perspective, and then figure out how. And I told him how I felt about the way that he handled a certain situation, and then he came back with what I wanted to hear because he understood what I meant when I presented him with the information. So I think it's about timing. It's and you have to be mature enough, and I think that's the issue with younger people. You have to be mature enough to say, okay, I need to shut up right now. Okay, I just need to be quiet and lead us to
Well, and most of the time too, and I just did it. I just cut her off. I'm sorry.
It's all right. No, he didn't cut.
Just prime example, but. This piggybacks on what I was saying to you as far as the ego. Let me speak from personal experience. Oftentimes when I do get frustrated, it is based on my thought process of the past. Of this is based on this scenario and what happened and what was said. this is what was meant from that scenario. So that must be what's meaning, what she's meaning to bring to me right now. If I felt disrespected, when I was 15 years old and this particular situation happened, and she's bringing that same situation up to me, then she must be trying to disrespect me just like I was being disrespected when I was younger. And that's where that ego, trying to deal with that ego portion as far
It's
as a
the
man.
devil.
That's right. Get behind me, Satan.
The fact that you can talk about it after things kind of die down, that's what makes it work.
Right.
Especially if he's receiving what you're saying.
Right.
Well,
That's how it works.
It took a long time to get there. I mean, this is our second marriage too. Both of us been married before. And when I was younger, I got married at like 22 or 20 or something. I don't even remember. But it wouldn't have been like that back then.
We
It
would have
been
right.
right. It got to the point where it became abusive.
Right.
Because I was like,
Yeah, me too.
That
you know,
it would never
But
work like that.
You know, when
ever.
a man put his hands on a woman, first of all, we can't. Y'all, I'm saying it right with vernacular. We can't handle that. Y'all have more vocabulary. Your words are sharper. So when a man can't handle your mouth, what do? He put his hands on you because you can't whoop him physically.
But that's why you need to not be too sharp with your words.
Right.
You have to
And that's
be a
the
little
thing.
delicate
that's the thing
and
I
say
had
things
to learn.
the way that they
And I
can
learned
receive it. And
Because
then you be okay.
sometimes you don't even know it though. Because like for
Right.
me, I didn't know that I grew up toxic, and so only thing I seen was a toxic relationships.
But see, I did grow up toxic.
Uh-huh.
So I knew not to be toxic.
Oh well, see, I didn't know I was.
Did.
I tried so hard not to be what I seen, but yet I was and didn't know it. Again, 48 right now, learning that, wow, so many things were toxic in my life. And I'm running from this because I'm totally the opposite of what I grew up seeing. But yet, still it's in me. And to the counseling, the making commitments to change the things that I've not known, because for me, my grandmother raised me, and then 14, my grandmother died. That was my true love. And when I lost her, I took bits and pieces from people. So say, for instance, if I spoke with you as a young adult, and you told me something and I liked it, I would hold on to the pieces. So as our old bishop would say, eat the meat and throw away the bones. I would take the pieces that I see. Maybe it wasn't even right, but I liked it and it sounded right to me at the time. So I built me off of all these different people. And then what happened is all that stuff was toxic too. And so I didn't know who I was. And I didn't have time to filter that because I'm raising kids, I'm married, I'm trying to live. Now at 48 years old, nobody's in my house, me and Jay, and I'm trying to figure out, like, who is she?
I get it. Because our family learned how to love me.
Right.
And when you learn how to love you, you can be a better you, and you can be a better you to somebody else.
This is true. This is true.
I had to do the same thing. Because after that relationship, the first relationship I was in, it was toxic and it almost killed me. Okay. And so I found this book and I started reading, because I had nothing to do for 4 months. I was at home trying to recover from an illness, and I started reading all these self-help books, and so you know what? Okay, I understand that. Yeah, that was me. Oh, this is how you deal with this. Oh, well, Mike came on.
No, you took your jacket off.
Oh yeah, you know that you know what I'm talking about. I got hot. You get me? Hot. I was about to burn up over here. Okay, but anyway, I might not look that like I'm burned up, but I'm hot as hell right now too. But anyway, I had to. It took about 4 months for me just being with me and learning me and what things trigger me and all of those things. and it helped me grow. Okay, and I figured out a lot about myself during that period of time. And I said, I'm not going to be that person anymore.
I understand.
You know, I'm not going to be that person. I have to learn to love me for who I am. This is it. This is it.
Right.
You know,
you got to get to know you.
Right.
You got to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most women, most of y'all content for the most part. It's the men that's you know, like I tell guys about being content with what you have. I said, like when God talked to me, most of the time he use food because I'm a big boy. You know, I like to eat. So I never forget one thing. He just came to me. The Holy Spirit say, he said, okay, you see all this wonderful food. You put on your plate what you really like the most, because you can't put everything on your plate. And once you put what you got on your plate that you really like, you gotta be content. That's just like when you find a woman. You're not gonna get 10 for 10. So you looking in a woman for this, you know, the things that you like, you know, your traits that you like. So once you get there, you just gotta be content with it, because you can't eat everything at the buffet. Just like you can't have every woman in the streets. And that'd be most of the problem for most men. You know, as soon as they get in a little situation, they think, well, I ain't got to deal with that. So-and-so want me. But guess what? So-and-so got issues.
Everybody
got issues. Like when they say the grass is not greener on the other side.
What are your grass?
You know, so that's the thing. Because I remember my ex told me she just felt like she was dead. She didn't want to be there no more. But then when she seen this was there, then all of a sudden you want to be back there. But, you know, I told her the grass, I gave her an analogy of when we moved in this house, the yard wasn't like this. This come from cutting and fertilizing and water and everything. And that's the same thing with any relationship. It's just not green when you get there.
Right.
You know, you got
to take care of it.
Yeah, you got to take
Cultivate.
Cultivate. That's my word I was looking for. Cultivate. You know, so yeah, I mean, it's work.
And it ain't easy.
No.
Nah.
Oh, if it was
And there's
easy,
no manual, none of that.
Right.
Yeah, everybody be married 70 years. I mean, if it was
It's not
easy.
easy. And I was talking about cultivating the grass.
Oh,
but
cultivate.
I mean, if you imagine that, you got some raggedy grass. I have a property right now with some raggedy grass in the back. The grass just will not grow.
Yeah.
But I know if a person comes in, I had some renters in there for a couple of years. But I know if somebody comes in, looks at the grass and says, you know what, I can get this grass to grow.
And take care of it.
I can, if I'm patient, okay, and I go out here every day and I talk to this grass and I do the things that I need to do. This grass, I put down some nice sod and this grass, it's gonna look good back there. Right now, it looks bald headed.
That's the same thing in a marriage, a relationship.
Yeah.
This who I hang with. Right here, like I had a friend of mine tell me, said, man, you know, you and mama, y'all together all the time. I said, man, that's what I like hanging with mine.
And you not?
Yeah, I say I like hanging with mine. I say I don't know about you, but that's the thing when I tell somebody you could be attracted to a person, you find somebody you're attracted to, you think the sex good and all that, but you gotta actually like being with the person, right? Because guess what? The sex ain't gonna be the same. I can't put the Armageddon on no more. If I give you a rain shot, you going good. You know what I'm saying? A little torrential rain every now and then. You know, but see,
He said the torrential rain.
Yeah, that's about it. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, I'm 52 years old. I don't have all that energy like I used to have. And plus, if you try and make something of yourself, you got time to be rolling around all the time.
I agree with you 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. I like being with mine.
And I called Jay, what I call you, baby? My 401k.
Yeah. Oh, man. Let me tell you. I remember when she told me that. She say, she let you go. She say she let her 401k go. I said, I ain't know, was that an insult or a compliment or what? But you know, I took it as a compliment because one of her cousins always say, tell Tasha, everybody don't have a J, Tasha. I was like, hey, is that a good thing or a bad thing or what?
That's
you know?
a good thing. Y'all still right beside each
Oh
other.
yeah, this my buddy right here.
I was looking.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
I was looking at a TikTok. This guy came on. I don't know if I sent you that one, but he said that sometimes people are in your life for a season.
Exactly.
You did.
I sent you that one.
I think you did.
And it was very interesting to me the way that he proposed the information, saying that, you know, sometimes you're in relationships, you think that, you know, y'all on the same level, like you're going through something and he's going through something.
Yeah.
But then that person, you might get out of that something and this person is still there. Okay, but you and this person got married, for example. Now things have changed. Are you going to leave this person behind just because they changed? Okay, you know, and a lot of people do that.
They do that.
Yeah, I think for me, if I could tell anybody about a relationship, it's not, love is one thing, but for me, if your purpose, so when you find the purpose, Jay and our purpose is love struggle. We are purpose. That's what God put us together to do. We help couples. We ignite people's relationship. Everywhere we go or whatever we do, it always comes to that purpose. And when you're purpose for something, you're gonna, because it's God's will, you're gonna stay there.
I was gonna say.
So no matter what we go through, we look at the purpose. And because God is at the head of our relationship, he's not going to do nothing that's going to displease God. I'm not going to do nothing that displease God. So the purpose stayed at the forefront. God is the head of that. He comes next. My children, my church, my family, and all that other.
Say that again. Do that again, please.
So God is at the forefront. Then it's the husband.
No, I'm not.
No, it's God is at the forefront of my life. Then it's my husband, because this is a ministry. My husband comes first. He is a ministry. After God, nobody comes cross that line before him. He's my ministry. So I put this ministry before the church. I put this ministry before my kids. If this ministry is taken care of, I'm taken care of. So I make sure he comes first. And then my children, my family, and the church. And so you have a lot of Christian women sometimes put church before their husband, and then you wonder why your relationship sinks so much, because you spend a lot of time at the church and you had a ministry that God gave you to begin with, and you're not utilizing the tools that he gave you to keep what's in front of you. And so I make sure, again, and you hear me say I'm very submissive. I talk to my husband. I don't agree with everything he says, but if he said it, he laid the law down, I'm cool with it. I'll tell the Lord, well, Lord, I did my part. I'll wait. There's times where I'll tell Jay something and I won't move. If he doesn't agree with me, I won't move. There's been times where I wish he would agree with me, but if we don't have that agreement, I'm not moving, because I don't want to be out of the will. There's a purpose for God doing what he does, and I have to always be submissive to this man. He's my covering. So God covers. So I say this, and again, a big shout out to the City of Praise, Bishop Joel Peoples. He is amazing when it comes to understanding that your husband is your covering. We watch him very well cover his wife, and it brings joy. I would never, ever be in a situation where I would let my husband be in a ministry and he's getting fed. And if I'm not getting fed, I know how to do what I need to do. I would never leave because he gets what he needs. And if he's covered, then I know I'm covered.
That's right.
Woo, you said something.
And then, you know, another thing my pastor always said, and I tell guys, I'm learning even more. He said,
listen up, fellas. Listen up, fellas. Listen up, fellas.
Never let nobody celebrate your wife more than you.
Yes.
One more time, bro. One more time.
Never let anybody celebrate your wife more than you. I mean, when I say my bishop be dropping Jews, and that's what the ministry, you know, that we attend, well, we're part of. Actually, we're leaders. We're deacons in training now. But as with here at the City of Praise Family Ministries, what?
What are you talking
Saving
about?
family.
Oh, okay. You talking about?
One
soul at a time.
One
Yes.
soul at a time.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to some people that are entering relationships? Single people entering relationships, and they're entering with intent
Mm-hmm.
to find that soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where am I going with this? Because and now I'm backed up.
That's a question.
But yeah, with you're going into this relationship with intent, or you meet somebody and you're like, I was in a podcast on Saturday and they were talking about single women
Mm-hmm.
dating with intent, single women who have children that date with intent.
All of them
And-
date with intent.
Right, but
They
men
single
don't
kids.
understand that. They the podcast was about men who either want to date a MILF or a milk. Mother I like to keep, or mother I like to.
There you
And they were just saying that women date with intent, and
Right.
men date
Well, see,
women
that's
who
what the
have
thing, I
children.
know.
But that needs to
Right.
be
Had kids,
stated
and I
in
know
the
she
very
was- she didn't
beginning.
want-
I think so, but men don't always. They're
They
not
don't.
always
They
truthful.
don't.
They
They're
don't.
not. They're not.
You know, so
We
when
know
a
it.
woman,
We
We
talked
know
about
if
that
we want
today.
yeah,
We, like I said, when she asked me that question, I wouldn't say it right there, but I already knew. I wasn't letting this go.
Because
Mm-hmm.
and the reason what you're saying I can attest to that is because when I first met her, I knew probably within 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to marry her.
But you know, the
I
first
knew
day
that.
when you date somebody, if you're gonna date them again,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're gonna go on that date, you know, if you're gonna, is this a friend or this? What am I doing with this? You know immediately.
is this a waste of time?
right? You know,
Okay.
Exactly.
You
And then,
know?
another thing I tell women, if you're going to keep giving away a couple of quarts of milk, he'll never buy the whole cow.
Right.
You know, women feel like their clock ticking, not biologically with the father having a baby, but getting married. But wait on God, and don't you look.
Yeah,
God
just be
said when a
patient,
man
right.
finds a woman,
Mhm.
and that'd be a lot of things, women trying to bypass what God say.
Yeah, women are asking men to marry them these
Man,
days.
that ain't cute at all.
It ain't.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Well, let's jump into this love struck. Come on, tell us about what's happening with love struck. What is it? How can we get in? First of all, let's go. What is love struck?
Okay, so we're gonna backtrack a little bit. Serenity in Zion is it's our foundation. Serenity in Zion, it has a lot of different parts that kind of like haven't been introduced, but we had to start somewhere. And I remember God giving Jay and I a plan, and when we seen it, Jay was like, "Oh my God, babe, don't think anymore." And when he gave me the plan, I literally took and sat down and wrote out what Serenity in Zion was and how it would be formulated. I remember and just writing, and it was like maybe front and back 3 to 6 pages, trying to get out the vision that God gave us. After writing it out, He gave us 3 events a year, and then one of them is Love Struck. The other one is just the 2 of us. Love Struck is for Valentine. Just the 2 of us is a summer activity. And then Kissing Under the Mistletoe is the winter one. And He gave me Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So 3 events a year. If we have anything extra in the between, he'll make it happen. But He gave me the foundation of keeping 3 main events, so couples will have something to do. The thing with Serenity and Zion, one night I wanted to go dancing, and I wanted to just hang out, and I didn't have anywhere to go, and it was hard, and everything was either a bar or either a club, and I don't do either.
Get it in the house.
This is true, but I wanted to
Go out.
yeah, I wanted to hang out with other people.
Mhm.
And I wanted to just, be entertained a little bit. And most of the time we would do concerts, but sometimes you don't have the dance floor. And so God was like, well, create it. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And from that point, it just kind of like was a thought. And then how it kind of came to the coaching piece was
this is something that you like to do with Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of formulated, and it has so many other parts. I don't want to tell that part yet because it's not ready, but it's gonna be phenomenal. God, the vision is so huge, and I just know in 2023 some of it's gonna fulfill. We're excited about that as well. But
listen.
yes, please keep your ear out. SerenityDesign.com. We put everything on. But Love Struck. So Valentine's, go for it, honey.
Love Struck is coming up with February 11th. Where can I get the tickets from since you talking?
I said SerenityInZion.com.
Okay, well, it's for most of the times men. We don't never had nothing set for our wife. Really, and so we run at the last minute, try to get some flowers.
Hey man, let this man talk. Let that man talk.
You know, trying to come up with something most of the time.
He's one of them people.
Yeah, I'm one of them people so that I can attest to it, you know, and we throw stuff together with women. Y'all really thinking
Playing
it. So we wanted to come up with something where, you know, you could take your wife or I guess significant other if y'all not married yet. They could dance. All women want to put on their little cute outfits. They could dance in a safe environment, be around like-minded couples, you know. And then another thing is when you married or even if you're in a relationship, you got to hang around other healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
Because like she said, it's toxic. My bishop always used to tell me, it's like lint. If you around somebody with a bad relationship, eventually it'll get on you. So, you know, we just wanted to have that type of environment, you know, where everybody can come together, have fun, safe environment. For the most part, we always end up coming out of our pockets, but it's not about us making money. It's about giving God the glory and help keeping these unions together, you know, and
Sparking flames.
Yeah.
So help me. So are you guys having an event for Love Struck?
Yes, the Love Struck event happening February 11th.
That's what I thought I was hearing.
Yeah.
Because I'm following you.
Where
And I remember February 11th.
8500 Annapolis.
What is
Metro
That's
Points
right.
Hotel.
That's right.
Yeah,
New
down the
Carrollton.
street.
We right here.
Yeah, New Carrollton.
Okay.
Yes.
Down the street.
Right.
And I said, for the women, y'all like gifts. This lady got so many giveaways and stuff. I'll say,
I'm coming.
I'll say, I'm going to need a
I'm coming too.
second job trying to pay for all this stuff. But you know, it's all for the glory of God. You know, as long as He get the glory. And I just want to see people make it. You know, I just want to see marriages make it. Yeah, like you said, be happy because you see a lot of people. You ever see when somebody married 20-something, 30 years, and all of a sudden when the kids grow up and move out, they get a divorce?
But that's because they got
intentional.
married for the wrong reasons.
Not all the
No,
time.
it's
Not
not
all
that.
the
time.
That's when
They
you
grow
come,
apart.
they grow.
Yeah.
They
they
stop
grow-
talking.
They
They
stop
stop
talking.
But
communicating.
they got,
stop
it's
having
a lot
time
of people
together.
that get married because she's pregnant.
Yeah, you had that.
And then after the kids, then they go their separate ways.
I didn't get married.
It happens all the time.
I mean, my parents didn't get married.
Like, I've never been married,
because
and I'm
everybody was
54.
pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
My parents got married because they believed they loved each other.
Mhm.
But by the time that my brother was graduating from high school, when he graduated, they split. My
But
mother
that's
went and got her
but
own.
that's good. That's
What?
good.
What is?
What you just said.
Yeah, but it
I've
wasn't
been
good.
asked,
It wasn't good.
but
at all.
I said no twice because I knew that was not the person
Right.
for me.
Well, yeah, you.
But
I've
I don't
only
think
been
that
in-
they understood that
I
was
don't
they
even
weren't
think that they
compatible.
wouldn't. That they wasn't right for each other.
Because some people
you
just
don't,
get married
if
to
you
say
don't
they
put
have
that, if you don't put that time in, the same thing you did to get her, that's what you do to keep her.
Exactly.
And
Right.
people don't
But
spend.
they
They
grew,
don't have.
like I was saying before.
They grew apart.
They were seasonal. They were on the same level when they first got together, and then one of them started to go in a different direction, and the other wasn't here. And
What
the,
we
and
just
one
talked
was
about.
saying, "Look, why aren't you doing this?
Mhm.
Why aren't you doing that?" And this one started feeling
Left out.
insecure
Yeah.
and left out, while this one was
That's
grown.
what we did, yeah.
And then this one was trying. This is what I saw with my parents. This one was trying to stay on this one's level, but this one was rejecting it. Okay, they rejected it, and finally this one was like, okay, but this one was crushed when the other one left.
Oh, wow.
It was. Yeah.
Why do you think the other one was rejected?
Because they wanted more. They wanted more that this person couldn't give.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody told me that
That's
about
what
my
we
own
was talking about
relationship.
earlier, a little while ago.
Why can't you just accept why can't you accept what you have right now?
Mm-hmm.
And understand that this person loves you and they're giving you the best that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me back to my own parents' relationship, and I looked at them like, wow, that would have, if the one partner could have responded to the other one in that way and said, okay, I married you for a reason. We had these kids, and it was nothing wrong. Everything was fine. There was no cheating, no nothing. The bills were paid, all of that. But this person
But if you had, he got. So y'all
Right.
together, when you get married,
And
you
this
become
is
one.
right. And I think that also coming from that background and coming into this relationship and actually analyzing my parents' relationship, I believe that helped me in the relationship I have with my husband. And I believe that now we're right on the same level, because I was pushing for that because that's all that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but as you grow and you understand things about yourself and you understand things about the person, and then when you have people come into your life and say just one small thing,
change your life.
and it's like, I never looked at it from that perspective. And I think people go into these relationships with these grandiose ideas about what they want and what they expect and what this person better do, and he did this. Just like you said about the Armageddon and all that. that don't last,
Right.
like you said.
Right.
So when that no longer is the thing that's important to you, are you still going to love that person?
Right.
Because that person hasn't changed.
Right.
They still love you. And if that was the only thing, or the main thing.
Well,
Right.
I don't
Let
think.
me-
Do
let me
you
say
think they
something.
stopped liking? I don't think they stopped loving each other. Did they stop liking each other?
I don't even
It
think
was
it's that.
what I gathered from it was one was going in one direction and the other one wasn't going in that direction.
Right.
So we about to part ways because of that.
Right, because
That's what I gathered from it.
one was saying, and still to this day, says,
Don't.
it shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I'm like, but what was wrong with what you got? Because they were a really good person.
Mm-hmm.
They took care of home. They made sure you were good. But because you were on this
They might have
thing.
couldn't see at the time.
Right.
I think Jay and I went through something like that. When we first got together, he if you recall, he said that I didn't have a voice. So when I learned how to have a voice, and then he told me he wasn't a genie in a bottle. He couldn't read my mind. And then I started asking for things because I never did that in a relationship. And then it kind of got crazy because I could. And I knew that anything I asked for, he would give it to me. And I'm not going to lie, for a minute, I abused it. I abused it. I started asking for stupid stuff. Thank you, Lord, that it stopped. But then one day I realized, that's my husband. I realized, what are you going to do? Work him to death? What are you going to, what are you doing? And then he was working so hard and laying out the carpet for me and the kids. Then I got offensive. And then I was like, I used to tell my children, don't ask my husband for nothing, I was like, that's my husband. You're not going to run him down to the ground. You're not going, and then the kids were doing what they seen me do. And I had to defend because I knew this heart. And his heart was, that was the thing that made me love him. His heart. I watched how he take care of his sisters. I watched how, when I met him, he was darn near like a thin piece of paper because he was loving and caring on everybody. And my word was, and
crazy life changes. My words is I don't see nothing, none of that in my future. That ain't in my future. You know, every time somebody asks us something, that's not my future. And he was Mr. Give. Now that when we sit now, he's like, he don't see nothing of that in his future. And I'm Miss Give. I was like, how did we switch roles here? But you be with a person so long, and if the love is real and the purpose is there, you become each other. And it just intertwined. Yes, very much so one. Three chord string, not easily broken.
It was funny when she said when you be around a person so much. You know, when we do this, I always say this your boy Jay and your girl Tasha.
Yeah.
So now on her answering machine on her phone, she says, "It's your girl Tasha. Leave a message."
Yeah, and I start calling myself that chick because he always say my name, and my son them laugh at me. They're like, that chick. I be like, yeah, that chick. That he always intro me, so I don't,
So, but if they want to follow you on Instagram, how can we follow you on Instagram?
Girl, you made it up. Tell me.
Yours is
Johnnie Graham the third.
Yes,
With
at Johnnie.
With three eyes.
Yeah.
Three. Well, I thought that's lowercase.
No, that's eyes, baby, capital
I
eyes.
always say lowercase.
Johnnie Graham.
Yes, and mine is that chick TDG, and we also have at Serenity in Zion.
So guys, make sure you follow them.
Yeah.
So we do have coming up. We have to do our 60 seconds of fire.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Let me get my.
Oh wow!
All right.
60 seconds of fire.
60 seconds.
Yes.
I'm on fire.
And you had one. Remember the one you had that you wanted to throw out there?
What? When?
Would you rather have something? It was 3 different options.
Oh, God.
I should have wrote it down.
Yeah, you should have, because
Right.
you know, things
Okay.
leave me.
All right. So we're on the clock. Just one or two word answers, maybe a sentence. Okay. So, do you believe you're more motivated in doing things because of you hate doing things, so you have to do it? You fear of some of the repercussions, or for love of what you may get in the future?
I don't know all of these.
We're
thing
going to ask the question again. Okay.
Are you more motivated by your actions of fear,
Okay.
hatred because you hate something, or because of the love that you may receive?
I'm the love. I like the love piece. That's me. Because I give love all day.
That's good, because that's what it's saying on your shirt.
Yeah.
What about you, Jay?
I love to sow seed and love because I want to reap the
I
harvest.
figured they were going to say that.
Now, if you can change one thing about your journey, about your marriage journey, what would it be and why?
He always told me that he wished he would have been my first. And that makes me fall in love with him every time he says it, because I know what he has given me right now, and just to imagine what that would have been like. Because even, and I hate it to be long, but I asked him, I was like, why didn't we have a baby together? And I was like, because I really know what love is. And so I would have kind of wanted to experience that, but then we looked at each other like, oh, we're glad we did.
You had enough. It's okay.
Man, I don't want to say anyone.
It's okay.
All right. So now this was going to go to you, Jay. What is, because we all have assets, house, car, chains, watches, rings. Those are assets that we have. What do you believe your greatest invisible asset is? I.e., generosity, kindness, peace, freedom, honesty, etc.
Kindness. Yeah, I'll say kindness and my generosity, because I'm a giver. I like to see, what it does for somebody. When you give them something, I love to give.
Mm-hmm. Just out the kindness of your heart.
I just love to give.
Okay. Last one. Finish the sentence. Life is about
Gratitude.
Being grateful. God is good. You only get one day at a time to breathe air. You only get one, you don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow. Enjoy it. I had to learn it. It is amazing to live this life. Right. And I have my life partner with me. So I'm love struck by him.
About love.
Give me some.
All right, well, guys, hey, we appreciate you guys stopping by, dropping some jewels on us. And remember, come Love Struck, February 11th, 8 o'clock, 8500
Annapolis Road.
Yeah, but they need to go to the website.
So we can get our tickets and show up.
You want to go to
show out.
Is it just for couple, like married couples, or is it for single or people with intents?
As long as it's a couple, because the tickets are coupled. So as long as it's a couple. But the website is serenityinzion.com.
Tell them again.
serenityinzion.com. And you scroll down, you'll see it. Hit continue, put your name in, and let's go.
Well, I want to say one thing, and I pray that nobody takes this wrong because we love everybody.
No, don't. Please. I love you. Yes.
Well, we're going to leave it right there, guys. This is your partner, Frankie P.
Maria P.
Tracy P.
Hey, we appreciate you. Johnnie and Tasha coming by. This is your partner, Frankie P. Remember, you change your perspective, you change your life. When you change your perspective, you change your life. When you change your perspective, fellas, this is for you. Do not let anyone tell you to be more excited about your wife than you. And guess what's going to happen, fellas? You're going to change your life. Peace.
I love it.